All right, we are recording. So welcome to the Life Upgrades Workshop. Thank you guys so much for coming, you who are here live, and also all of you who are going to be watching this in the future. Because one thing that I've definitely learned about technology, it's such a new baby science, but it does carry energy. The more info, the better. So you've got a certain thing on typed, then if you hear the tone of voice, you can get a little more. Then if you see video, you can get even more. And then of course, if you charge it up with Reiki and prana and all of the non-physical things that are not limited by time and space, then they come through whenever you do it. Yeah, I see you nodding. You know. Yeah, and something that I definitely believe in my work is that I want all of it to act as a healing, activating tool. And I know that at least a couple of you guys are already healers, you here now and in the future. So I would love to, as we do this opening meditation, invite you to also add your healing capacity as well. So it's not just that we're all receiving, we're also all giving and creating a vortex of energy that everybody can benefit from going forward. Cool? Okay, great. So let's just do just a nice, easy, quick meditation. Just close your eyes, let your breathing deepen and even out. Okay, Eve, I'm just gonna mute your mic. There we go, perfect, okay. So let your breathing deepen and even, and let your body, as your breathing becomes more steady and focused and deep, let your body come into more of a state of homeostasis. Let your muscles relax. Maybe your shoulders will relax down. Maybe your belly will relax. Your spine might straighten a little. Make sure you're settled so that you're sitting firmly, nice symmetry, that your body is feeling that gravity, letting it hold you to the earth, but that you are also feeling that magic within you that helps you move upward as well. Some people call it Ormus, the thing that makes us grow upward. At any given time, we have both things moving through our body, the things that holds us to earth and the thing that brings us up to the stars. So as we're breathing deep and easy and slow, let's welcome this in. Welcome these polarities that keep us moving, evolving beings. And as your body returns to its place of balance and purity, let's start working on our emotional fields. Let's start suggesting, gently inviting the energy of inspiration to come to us. The energy of alignment, of joy, of that quiet sacredness that we have access to in every moment, that's always there, whether or not we choose to use it. Right now, let's fan those flames and bring them higher. Let's let our own personal life force suffuse us, bring heat into our bodies, and also move out from us to connect us with our world. Let's feel our world. We can feel the beauty of it. We can also feel the imperfection of it, the places where things are stuck, the places where things are painful. In order to fully upgrade, we have to be honest about where we are. So let's feel all the beauty and all the non-beauty at the same time, knowing that it's all divine, knowing that it's part of a greater cosmic turning where everything is just equations and love. Relaxing into that. Still breathing deeply, letting the mind be pure and sharp, letting the heart be soft and open, letting the body be present and filled with health and vitality. Now let's begin to imagine that we're just, in whatever way is most comfortable for each of us uniquely, accessing our own divine record, our own personal divine blueprint. Everyone's is different, and they hold all the energy about you, from your soul purpose to your physical health, everything in between, the potential for all the relationships in your life, the ideas for the work that you do in the world, the way that you give, the way that you receive, the different iterations of this, the things that are more in alignment, the things that are less in alignment, the tasks and lessons that are easy, the tasks and lessons that are not easy, feeling all of it. And now imagine that you are sorting through this, flipping through it like a Rolodex, or searching it like an internet search engine, or going through it like you go through a pile of objects. And just set the intention that you bring forward your next best upgrades. Whatever they may be, you may know what they are, you may not. Right now, it doesn't yet matter. Just try to bring that current of energy through. At this moment, I'm feeling it like electricity, like a very gentle lightning bolt that moves and undulates liquidly, letting that golden energy come through, letting it fill you up. As you let it fill you up with golden electric energy, you might feel things shifting within you, which is great. That's why you're here. Let them happen without needing to necessarily understand. We're calling forth to our own inner divine frequency, all connected, and requesting that as we upgrade ourselves, we step into a current where we are supported, inspired, cherished, honored, and treated well by our world and everyone and everything in it. And we ask that as we step forward more into our best path forward, that we also assist our greater world in its best path forward. That as each of us shines, this shine unites to make a brighter place that we all live in together. That we each dance our own unique dance, sing our own unique songs, and create what is ours to create, as well as receive what is ours to receive in such a way that heals and inspires the greater world around us. That heals and inspires individuals, that heals and inspires systems, both the human-made ones and the greater natural order systems, so that we can be divine pillars of truth and honor and abundance, worthiness, and love. Still deeply breathing. Let's feel those energies move through us. Feel them swirling around us now as you also contribute intentions that you have, not only for yourself, but also for others here. Let's intend that each other step up into our next stage of creativity. Let's intend that each other step up into our next stage of abundance, of flow, of inspiration, joy, connectedness, and love. Let's hold each other in a shining space of purity and honor and encouragement. Feel that swirling out from you to move into the vortex that we're making now, coming from all over the world, from all different times, from all different natural systems. Feel that vortex swirling beyond time and beyond place. And as it continues to swirl, feel it swirling around you as well. Allow yourself to receive from it. Feels nice. Allow yourself to receive the unique energies that are being contributed by people in this workshop who are not like you, who have different gifts, who have different struggles. This is why community is so important, because we can fill in each other's blank spots, tired spots, wounded spots. Because our education and experience can combine to create something greater than the sum of the parts. So that we all don't have to learn the same lessons. We can exchange with each other and learn from each other's learnings as well. Receive that yummy richness of experience and heart. Allow it to fill you up. Allow it to heal you. Allow it to clarify what you are and what you want. Now coming back into an emotional feeling space. Let your emotions come to the surface of your awareness, and let's just, for the duration of this workshop, drop anything heavy. Let's drop any of our worries. Let's drop any of our fears. Let's drop the human challenges that all of us are going through in one way or another. Just put them on pause for this time that we're together, so we can have a clear and pure view. So that we can see truly and act truly and step more into our greatness than we ever have before, whatever that means for us uniquely. The healthy dose of surrender to divine will, and with grateful hearts, let's all take one breath together to really set these intentions in. Breathe in. And release. Very nice. Now allow yourself to just come back into your body gently. You might want to move a little. You might want to tap your feet and move your hands. Maybe stretch your neck and shoulders a little to come back. Whenever you're ready, you can open up your eyes. We can continue on. Okay, thanks you guys. How's everyone feeling? Good, okay. So we are recording this workshop during Mercury retrograde, during a very intense one. I know, right? It's like, well, I didn't know it was going to be Mercury retrograde when I scheduled it, but so far we're doing great. So far, this is working out fantastically. So the way that the life upgrades process works that I understand is that I'm sure you guys have heard about the law of attraction. I'm sure you've heard about the power of affirmations. But they can work better or worse depending on how you fine-tune them and depending on how you use them, depending on when you use them, and also how you write them. I'm sure since you guys have probably used affirmations before, you know that sometimes you can write an affirmation that kind of works against you, or you can write an affirmation that works for a little while and then it kind of gets a little dull and doesn't work anymore, and then you just feel like you're kind of hemorrhaging energy and it's not helpful. So the idea in this workshop is to go through the major points in life to create all in all a holistic view, affirmation by affirmation, and they'll be unique, but we'll go through different categories as we do this to look at in your best life. And it does not have to be realistic. This is important. It does not have to be realistic. This does not need to be the next logical step. This can be something that's 10 steps away. This can be something that you have no idea how it's going to happen. That's important because that works way better. And then to craft affirmations that can feel real enough to you, that can feel like a lovely dream that you're living, that just don't have a ton of resistance against them. And then once it's complete, I doubt we'll have time to do it during the actual workshop. We might, but the idea is that once you've done all your note taking and all of your affirmation writing, that you go back and rewrite them beautifully or type them up beautifully so that you can easily read them. And then this is what is going to start the magic. But then the magic will continue as you go through them every day. And that's one of the hardest things about affirmations is actually to read them every damn blessed day. For real. That's what makes the difference. And the thing about this exercise that I have always seen the magic happen is that when people do this, we're going to go through all of our stuff. We're going to get all of our list. It might be long, so you might have to donate a little bit of time to read it morning and night, because morning and night is best when you're going out of one world and coming into another. If you actually read it, get that momentum going, send some extra prana and chi up to it twice a day. I have never ever seen anyone do this and not have ridiculous results come to them within 2 weeks, which is why we're also having another half-hour chat in 2 weeks, because this is the first time I've ever done this, to go and check back and say, okay, did it work? What happened? Where did you slip up? Where was the resistance? Because also what may happen afterward is that you'll see where you have blocks, where maybe you didn't know you had blocks. An example is, you guys, most of you I think follow me on social media, you'll see that I had this crazy car fiasco last time I went cross country. And just about 2 days ago I realized, because first my car died out of nowhere, it was fine. And then I got a new one. And then a few days later that new one got hit, and now it's been in the shop for like 2 weeks. And so I was getting out of this rental, which I really don't like my rental, to be honest. It's a little hard to use. A lot of the tech was grandfathered in, so it doesn't actually make sense. You can tell it's from an older system. We're like, oh, well, this push button made sense, so let's just put an electronic button there. But the electronic button there is not intuitive, and it took me 2 weeks to figure out how to control the volume of my radio because it was in a different spot than the rest of it. Very frustrating. And even though it's a nice and expensive car, the rental that I have, I don't like it. And so the other day, as I was getting out of this car, I was thinking to myself, why in the world has this happened in my world? Why is it that I was forced to buy a new car and then now can't even drive that new car, and I can't wait till the new car is done at the shop so I can get it? And then an angel came to me and was like, because you wouldn't just receive the new car without any trouble, Karis. You had to go way around and then be so rubber banded, be like, can't I just have the car that I just bought? So now I will receive it because of the trouble in a way that I wouldn't just take it, because receiving is one of my issues too. So it is likely, I hope that it is not that dramatic for you guys in the upgrades. I think it probably won't be, because of all the stuff that we're putting into Padlet. And because more than ever, the importance here on this upgrade list that you're gonna make is how you feel. Not so much the physical reasons. There are going to be physical stuff there too, but how you feel is going to be the thing that you're spinning, the momentum that you keep upping every day. And so after that 2 weeks, you're going to be able to look back at that list and be like, wow, this, and this happened. This and this, I had more inspiration to do myself because I was thinking about it. X, Y, and Z over here totally just showed up in my world. I didn't even know that it was going to happen. And then this one and this one haven't moved at all. And I've actually seen this blockage come up and da-da-da-da-da. And then we can unwind that as we go forward. Does all that make sense? Okay, cool. All right, so before we get started with our specific affirmations, I would love to go around and invite you guys. You don't have to share, but I would love it if you did, to give a little intro and say, you don't have to give that many specifics about your personal experience, other than I would like to get kind of a thumb on the pulse of what it is that your upgraded life feels like to you. What kind of stuff you're stepping into. The reason that you even decided to come into this, you can be as broad or as specific as you want, but as we're crafting this, I kind of want to know where we're going. So I would love to just kind of know what's at the top of your head, what kind of things you're pushing for. Like I said, it can be specific or it can be general, whatever's good for you. Yeah. Who wants to start? Oh, wait. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
So, three things maybe. One is being an artist in the sense that it feels, well, the long story short, really, that to me, kind of creating meaning out of my life experience, or making my life meaningful on a deep and very personal level, seems and feels like making art as a as a reflection of that would be one way of feeling far more deeply satisfied than I maybe have been living a less artistic life. So there's that. The other thing is, and this is probably the next level underneath that, deeper and therefore more personal and important. I just would love to have a platform, and that will be part of the art stuff, where I would just be free to be expressing, sharing, and kind of leading, or not leading, not as a leader, but like living by example, my life philosophy, which I have, censored intensely over the years. And I'm still struggling because, and there's a third part, and then I'm going to wrap up and let other people talk, is audiences. Every time I think of like, what's my deepest desire is solitude. It's kind of your life outside of social media, in the woods, in the beautiful connection with nature. Yeah. So how do I, but I have the desire to put myself out there, almost like creating a place and platform for me that whoever wants to have a look can, if it resonates and they can learn, great. But I kind of want to be separate, sorry. So it's trying to make sense of all this and in a coherent way and make a life out of it or something. So anyway.
Balance. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious, would you talk just a little bit more about what your life philosophy is?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
About what your life philosophy is. You said you've been censoring your life philosophy. I'm curious as to what it is.
Well, see, my website that I would love to, well, website platform was, and I started, I went national, and I had a following, which freaked me out eventually. Can't have a following, which was merely no mates. And I'm saying this to you, and I'm absolutely, everything's buzzing in me.
Ooh.
I'm such a non-media of other people person. I know this sounds ridiculous maybe, and I just would, my dream is to be out there, do my thing, and people are there or not, but I don't want to interact. I really don't. So, but I don't know, I've spent my whole life I'm 50. So I try to figure out, how is this weakness, is this issue? And I think I kind of, pretty know well that it's just, I just love that life of just being solitary, but being visible to the world, but being left alone, if you like, without meaning, I don't know. So maybe I'm gonna find out resistance in 2 weeks' time, something I haven't thought of yet. But it's basically be your own best friend, be your own lover, be your own everything. We don't need any. Yeah, it's great to have people and to connect, but need, that word, we do not need others. I'm sorry. I see, I feel so awkward saying it because we're in a community and it's weird to say it. Sorry.
No, it's great not to need others, and then they're a luxury, and then you can appreciate it more. Like, you don't need chocolate, but it's great and we like it and it makes life better, you know. And I think that what you're talking about is totally doable, and this is a great example of stuff that you guys are going to see in each other. This is always easier to see in somebody else than yourself, so thank you for bringing all that up, because it's going to show us how, as you're describing a life of an artist, a life of a mostly solitary artist who has some type of platform where you are removed, where you don't have to deal all the time with all of the feedback and all of the opinions from the world. You can just kind of do your thing and also share in whatever way feels right to you. That is absolutely doable. I mean, the rest of you guys, don't you think that with what we have on the internet, you see people all the time being pretty solitary, but still having a wide range of connection with others? Now, depending on how often you click that thing on your phone or click that thing on your computer and go look, that's how much it comes through to you. And also sometimes psychically, of course, we all know that. I mean, I know that when I put something controversial up, I can feel it come back in, and then it just depends on how good my guards are that day, whether or not it affects me and how sensitive I'm feeling or whatever. But what you're describing is absolutely possible. Yes, people do it. I've seen people do it. I know of artists. One artist who is very inspirational to me, and I think she lives that kind of life, her name is Charmaine Olivia. I don't know if you guys heard of her. She's this goddess, and she paints pictures of goddesses, and she just kind of hangs out in her goddess world and makes beautiful art. And I think she's maybe in the Bay Area or something. I don't know. Yeah, her name's Charmaine Olivia. And she first came to mind when you said that, because I'm like, oh yeah, that exists. And I'm thinking of some other folks that I kind of know through the internet who definitely do it. And one thing that I definitely know is that if there's a way to do it, well, okay, if anyone can do it, then it can be done. If one person has done it, it can be done. If there's one way to do it, there are many ways to do it. And there are certainly ways we haven't discovered yet. And you can discover a new way. I'm sure you do some things in your life right now that nobody else does. You probably don't even know no one else does them, because it's just something that you've always done. And so the thing that you guys are going to see, and also feel free to use this technique in your work going forward. Feel free to use it with your family and friends. I started doing this years and years ago, just doing it for my friends. And I realized that it was magical, because every single person that did it had crazy stuff happen. I'm like, wait, this needs to be a thing. And then eventually over the years, I started doing it more professionally. But you can really tell where someone's greatest growth points and blocks are, because they'll talk about something that is theoretically doable, but like just happened with you, Maya, it's for them it's like, I don't think, but everyone else listening to it is like, no, you can totally do that. And that's also why community is great too, because with this vortex that we're spinning right now, everyone else's encouragement can kind of get through some of the loopholes that you might have that don't let you receive that. If you are receiving the encouragement from the group, that energy can like bolster and scaffold your intentions so that they can go farther than they would be able to go on your own. Again, that's not something that's needed, but it's a great tool that can be used in situations like this. So yes, I think you can totally get that. And I think that after we write this affirmation list for you, things will happen. Either things will move forward, or you'll be able to see how things can move forward as you start to put yourself more in that flow. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. I'm excited to get into it. Great. Who wants to go next? Kelsey, yeah, can you unmute your mic?
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I live in Brooklyn, and what do I want to work on? There's a lot of things that I want to work on right now. I am just sort of starting to step into my priestess power, and this is new for me. And I am leading meditation circles and events out here in New York, and trying to sort of expand my community and connect with other people and expand my circle for the sake of my business so that I can live fully off of it, and for the sake of the community out here, because I think New York really, really needs this kind of energy. So I'm really aiming for more harmony and balance, because I have a matrix job and then I come back into this world and do my work that I really want to be doing. So it's a mix of harmony and balance, as well as, inviting in more patience and trusting the process, and not letting like the little doubts or insecurities penetrate too deeply, and just sort of trying to move through them gracefully is kind of the bigger picture of what I'm working on right now. So yeah.
Yay, thank you so much for sharing that. And even just in the time that I've known you virtually, I've seen you become so much more powerful and so much more like, it's almost like your spirit undulations have become more balanced, kind of. I don't know how it's not physical what I'm talking about, but it's like you're embodying yourself more. I've seen Justin, and I don't know, I've known you for months. I don't even think it's been a year that we've been connected. So you're doing it. You're definitely doing it. And I agree. New York absolutely does need that. I agree. We've talked about this before. And I think that I really have seen that whenever I've experienced New York, there are so many magical people there who feel the same way you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something else that's really interesting to think about, is that sometimes we're in spaces where we look around and we don't really see anyone else doing the thing that we want to do. And it can feel doing it successfully. And it can feel like a brick wall, like trying to go through a brick wall. So a few times in my life, sometimes I try things and they fail miserably. Sometimes I try things and they fly forward amazingly. It's hard to tell before I do it which it's going to be. And no matter how developed I get, sometimes I still crash and burn on whatever it is that I'm doing. But one thing that has been very helpful to me over the years, especially when I either lose but interest in what I'm doing. If it's something that I've done for a while, for instance, so many times there's been something that I've been doing for years, especially in my work, and then one day it just doesn't give me the jolt anymore. And I'm like, I just don't want to do this. It used to feel like a blessing and a dream. Now it feels like a chore, but I feel like people are depending on me to do it, and I don't want to step away, but I have to. And then the second I step away, all these sisters come up, and it's in their perfect line to carry that torch that I was carrying by myself. And so the world is still getting that. And so I can say, okay, great. Now I can go do this other thing. And so the thing that has been so helpful for me, and Kelsey, maybe it'll be something to work into your affirmations, is I'm cool with being the first one. I'm okay with being the first one I know to support myself lavishly through just doing my spiritual work. For other people watching this later, I'm cool with being the first one I know to have a healthy relationship. I'm cool with being the first one I know to step out in the world in a new way that no one else has done because they're scared. I'm cool with being the first one, because there's always got to be a first one. Somewhere in the world, someone's doing this already. So it's not that you're the first one on the planet ever, but it's okay to be the first one in your social circle, because as soon as you do, what you'll see is then everyone else is like, wait, this is an option, and then they'll be able to do it too. And you'll see other people being emancipated as you're emancipated. So yeah, definitely for that. And also I think that New York, although New York is such a grindy place, at least for me it is. I mean, some people go and it's just amazing for them, it treats them great. It always kind of beats me up, but I respect it for that reason. And I do know though that it really does want that. I see so many fairies in New York. I see so many people who are deeply spiritual, but who are just kind of crushed under the metal and the concrete. And so the more that you can keep your spirit in that place, the more the place benefits too. And I really think that if you can just find that right equation where it works for you, just through trial and error and feeling it out, then it will bounce you right up. I do, because there's so many resources there. There's so much potential connection and magic and synchronicity going on there that if we can learn to dance our energies in such a way that it is symbiotic with the grid that we're already in, it adds so much more. There's a belief that I see so often in the New Age movement, and I used to hold it until I changed my mind. And it was the whole down with the current system, up with the utopian whatever. right? So you'll hear people talking about, but, and you know, most people won't just come out and say it that clearly because they don't really realize they feel that way. But when you're talking to them, then they kind of say that, well, the thems, like the thems and the us's, the thems that hold the us's down need to fall in order for the us's to rise, which I think doesn't work. Because isn't that what we're doing right now? Isn't that what the US was when it first got founded? I mean, isn't it like over and over, this is what we do. We rise, they fall. They rise, we fall. And it's, we know how to do this. I think that there's a new way, especially when it comes to things like abundance and peace. And I think that the new way is in, if you can imagine a tree that is living in a certain way, some of it's healthy, some of it's not. And then some type of symbiotic organism grows up within the tree, healing it as it goes, structurally solidifying it and supporting it as it goes, and then blossoms out the end. That's what I think that this new, more sensitive, more emotionally intelligent flock of us kind of coming up and not being able to stamp ourselves down anymore can do for the already existent structures. Some currently existent structures I love. I'm so glad about the interstate system. I'm so glad about parking lots and running water and all the other kinds of things that we benefit from. I think certain things in the already existing systems are great. A lot of them need to be upgraded. So rather than needing to rewrite, if we can figure out how to fit our energy in such a way that we're grateful for what is, as we also keep stepping forward, I think that is a faster, easier way. And it also lets us, like I said before, not swim against the current so hard. Let's just try to get carried along where we can be. And then where we need to extra paddle, we can do that with our energies as we go. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Okay. Excited to see what happens.
Me too.
All right. Okay. Who else?
Yeah, I'll go next. So I'm Eve, and I'm a hypnotherapist in Seattle. I guess right now, what I'm hoping to get out of the workshop is maybe some clarity. I'm in a time of limbo in my personal life and maybe potentially in my work life too. Yeah, just clarity. I know, we're not supposed to be able to see how something is going to happen. We're going to kind of trust that it will work out. But it's hard. It's hard,
Yeah. Especially when you're talking about baseline stuff like health of home, family,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping to, I love watching your videos, Karis. I'm hoping to do more spiritual work, because a lot of the people who come to me, it's more clinical type work, help with phobias and anxiety and stuff. But I want to see more people for spiritual stuff too. And it's hard to, open yourself up to that too and, make it public.
Mm-hmm, definitely. You can start that kind of stuff quietly too. You can start at word of mouth, experimenting with some friends here and there, and then having them, because I definitely think hypnosis is so powerful. And if people will use it for the baseline stuff, then it's easy to make the jump to the spiritual stuff. I think that a lot of the thing that you might be experiencing is the people around you, at least what I'm intuitively feeling, is the people around you don't yet realize they need it. Because in order to think about spiritual things, unless they come and bash you over the head like they did me, I mean, I didn't necessarily choose to be a spiritual person. It bashed me over the head and I had no choice but to deal. So unless that happens, which doesn't happen for the majority of people, it's kind of a luxury to think about spiritual stuff. It's kind of, well, can I eat? Can my children eat? Is my family okay? Am I paying my bills? And, whatever. And then at the end of the day, maybe I can think about spiritual stuff. Now, is that the way that it should be? Personally, I don't think so, because I think spiritual stuff is a scaffolding that all the rest of it runs on. However, the way that the current world works is that it is currently seen as a luxury by many people. So it's okay, because lots of people do luxurious things every day. So it can still be something that definitely supports you and that you can get into. So yeah, it'll really be fun to kind of make that shift and go that way. Thank you. Awesome. Raja, would you like to share?
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're a little blurry, but we can hear you.
Is it working? right, I have a different, mic. It's a weird setup. Hey, my name is Roger Masson, from Colorado. Um, I guess I can say that I was kind of a truther or conscious movement, all these things. Long ago, I started asking questions and, one thing leads to another. So I've had a lot of time to explore, and I think like what you were saying earlier about, how you just want to kind of get mad and or you don't know how to react to the things you in this world. But at a certain point, I've come to a place where I'm okay with everything. I don't feel like a protester or somebody who has to try to fix things. I think that the world is perfect the way it is, and the difficult part of it is find out how I can be just to see things from a higher perspective, or I guess how source would see things, and has been more motivating. So, anyways, uh, I was doing computer programming and math and other stuff. And I see correlations everywhere with spiritual knowledge and also, scientific things. And it seems like it's a percent hasn't been a gap hasn't been bridged yet. So just finding people really know what they're talking about, and you can tell that you can kind of tell they've been around the block, the spiritual block, as you can say, as far as beliefs go. I've always had, I think, what I felt for all the different religions or whatever, and to come just my own knowing of what I consider to be true. And when I see that in others, I really feel like I have that not so I've put a lot of focus lately into how I feel, and I didn't realize all the different levels of stress I could get rid of if I kind of let go of my attachment to different things. So over time, I really began to get a lot more sensitive to how I was feeling, and working on it a lot more. I started listening to Abraham Hicks every different moment, because it was like the last piece that I wasn't getting, where I didn't understand how I feel all the time. That really shows me what's going on. So, anyways, while I'm here, I seem to have made a lot of progress. But I think when it comes to things like affirmations, writing things down, trying to manifest my own life rather than, directly, feel great. It's just like, am I missing something? A little piece that I'm just doing better. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, your connection was a little blurry, so I didn't get everything that you said, but I'm pretty sure I got the gist. I want to say that, first off, the fact that you are aware of how you're feeling, like, not only are most people not, but I'd say also most men. This is groundbreaking work for men to feel their emotions and to make that a practice. So kudos to you for even being aware of it and doing it, and doing the work, like listening to Abraham Hicks and wanting to consciously manifest and stuff like that. I mean, more needed. Like, look, you're 1 and we're 5 in this workshop, right? So it's easy to see that these more soft sciences kind of stuff are generally more easy for women culturally. and men come up against that, what, you're going to yoga? You know, not as much as it used to be, but it's more there. So I just want to commend you for that, first of all. And also, I do want to say that with the way structures are, I mean, there are certain things that are terrible, like the internment camps for the Mexican children in this nation. Horrible, right? Various ways that we treat animals, terrible. Like, it's true. That is true. And so it's important to look with honesty at where we are. And if it is someone here or in the future, if it is their path to like be an advocate, be a protester, all that kind of stuff, that is definitely needed, right? In our way, right? So I feel like a lot of what I do is very like gentle protesting, that kind of stuff. It kind of is, because I might feel more intense about it in my own personal life, but then when I post things, I feel a responsibility to have a certain kind of frequency. But I do think that when we get fired up about something and it needs to change, that is good, and that is being a change agent, versus just sitting around and complaining about something and not actually doing anything about it. You know, so you can go the whole gamut depending on what other people around you are doing. I know so many people who are cool with complaining and talking about it, but then when it's time to actually do something, anything, maybe not the obvious thing, then it's, well, I didn't have time, or I can't because whatever. So everyone's list right now is going to be different. And I think that even wanting to sit down and manifest our ideal lives is ahead, just conceptually, of what most people even think is possible. Which is another reason why I'm super excited to check back in with you guys after 2 weeks and see what happened. Because this is pure energy stuff that we're doing. And I really like what you said about going with the feeling first, noticing how you're feeling. Because yes, the world does stuff to us. Stuff happens to us. Things happen in our world. Things happen around us that make us feel a certain way. Things happen that have nothing to do with us that we hear about on the radio or see on the news. Even if we don't watch the news, it comes to us, and you know, whatever. It's true, that goes down. So as we move through the world with these lists that we're going to have of choosing how we feel first, choosing first, that's why it's so important to do these in the morning, right when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you check your email, before you let the radio play, before you let any other external influences into you. You already set your meter for what you are, for how you choose to feel. Ooh, hang on a sec, Maya. What'd you say?
Could I have coffee?
Yes. You could do it as you're having your coffee. I think that the best way to do it, at least the best way to do it for me, has always been open up my eyes, reach over and grab the list and read it while I'm laying there in bed. That's better for me, because even as I just kind of get up and brush my teeth and do the thing, my mind is already starting. So it's best the earliest I can get it, before I have any thought. So I would say do it in bed, and then maybe take it with you. So while you're making your coffee, while your coffee's brewing, you're sitting there and doing it. So early. Like the whole idea is as you're switching into this world, before you already get momentum going in any direction, you get the momentum going. And as we'll write these, you'll see that they create a momentum of their own. Because by the time your list is done, it's gonna have a certain energy signature all in its own. So every time you read it, it's like pushing someone on a swing or on a merry-go-round. It's already going, and then you push them again and it's faster, and you push them again and it's faster. This is going to get the momentum going. And we've already set the intention that as we shine more, our world does too. So this is nothing that takes anything away from anyone. This is a light that brings more light to others, candles that light other candles. So that makes it even easier, because then no one has to lose for you to win. You can win, and everyone else wins as you win, because they see that they have greater options than they thought they did. Mm-hmm. Another important thing to say is, if there's any naysayer type folks in your life, just don't tell them you're doing it. Just don't even mention it, because I don't know, I'm definitely more sensitive than the next person, especially in my personal life. I'm extremely sensitive to feedback, to criticism. In professional life, meh. I mean, people have all kinds of feels all over the internet, so you can't really let it through all that much if you're sharing with rando strangers, right? But personally, if someone naysays something I'm doing, it can introduce doubt into my mind. So when you do work like this, it's important to not share it with anyone who might be like, but wait a minute, so you're just going to keep saying something a million times and you're going to get an email? Actually, yes. My dad, when I was first figuring out how to do this years ago, I did one of these with my dad. And one of the things he said was he wanted to, and this is one of the things that was so crazy and out of the box for him, it seemed like such an amazing thing that he could never do, according to him, was that every year he wanted to live 2 months out of the year in Paris. He lived in California at the time. And as he said it, he was like really even shy about sharing it. And then when he shared it, he would like laugh it off and say, I don't even know, there's no way, I shouldn't even. And I was like, no, let's do it, put it down. And then you'll see as we do it, you kind of work up the emotion of it already being true, the way that you do with affirmations. Or if you can't get it already true, you say, I invite this in, I request this in, I open to this happening. Within 2 weeks, an ex-coworker of his emailed him and said, hey, you used to mention wanting to go to Paris. And I found this thing that's a really cheap way either to get there or to live there. I don't remember what it was, but it was just this thing that came across this guy's computer and he just sent it over to my dad. And he did end up going to, he's been to Paris many, many times since, stayed like a month each time. So it definitely, and he didn't do anything physically to make that happen. So it definitely does come through. And you'll be able to see sometimes things come through sideways too. Like with my new car thing, like, yeah, I got a new car, but it was because my old one died really dramatically and then it got hit and then da-da-da. So you see, it is happening. Sometimes it comes smoothly, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you already have stuff you don't even realize you have. And then one of the great abundance upgrades that you can do is like using the stuff you already have. The stuff that you have that's sitting on a shelf that you never use. Because if you don't use it, do you really have it? And so setting up getting into the life that you've already set up and not sharing it with anyone. Once it already happens and the people go, what, how is this happening that you're living this awesome life? Then you can say, well, I use the power of affirmations and positive thinking and energy to do this. If you don't believe me, that's cool, but that's how I did it, you know? And some of it, like I said, some of it will give you the impetus to do things. Some of it will draw the things to you. So any questions before we get started? Questions, comments, shares? No? All right. Okay, so the very first place we want to work here, grab your paper, grab your pen or pencil. So we're going to make a cohesive list here, and you can just brainstorm or you can write it officially. But like I said afterward, I definitely recommend that you sit and neatly write or type all the completed ones. So the way that it starts and ends is in the emotion. What you want to do is when you wake up in the morning, pick up this list. When you're going to bed at night and you pick up this list, you want to start it off with how you choose to feel, how you feel. And you want this to be something that's realistic for you right now, especially at the beginning. So if you always wake up in a grumpy mood, then it's not really realistic to be like, I leap out of bed and excited to face the day. You know, it's not likely that that's going to work for you. It could be something like, I breathe deeply and feel into the peace in and around. You know, it could be, so I surrender to the flow of my day and invite good things. Could be something like that. So the question for the first part is, what are your best feelings? What is it that you have when you are in your most shining, most abundant, most in flow, most inspired and happy, whatever that means to you. Self. Maybe it's humor, maybe it's wanting to move your body, maybe it's wanting to create something. But what we want to start with is either I feel or I choose to feel, especially with something you always feel. I think I'm going to start mine with how this Merc Retro has been with I choose to feel. It's just realistically smarter. Okay.
Is there a good like number of feelings to focus on? Like, can I have like harmonious, joyful, alive, creative? Is that too many for the same
Not if
line?
it feels right. Not usually. I end up stringing stuff together because it kind of makes it more, it fills it out more for me. So what I wrote, for instance, is I choose to feel sacred, complex, trusting in the divinity in and around me. That can happen even if I wake up and I'm sad. That can happen even if I wake up and there's stuff I have to do that day that I don't want to do. So something like harmonious, especially in your situation with what I know about it, is that there can be all kinds of crazy energies, but if you're like, no, I choose harmony, then you are allowing yourself to kind of flow like water around them. I think harmonious is a really great one. I might add that too. Yeah. And also to add on to this, at the end, it might be something about what energy you're allowing to carry you through your day. So I just added yours with harmonious joy carries me. So then as you move forward. And like I said, you want this first one to be something that you can reach for easily. So yeah, read over what you wrote. If you haven't finished, keep going until you're done. But it doesn't matter how short or long it is, as long as it feels right. Because then if it's too long, you can always shorten it later. Okay.
You know, this doesn't have to be like a bullet point list. It can be like a story, not like, like like a wake up, like basically description of my day
Yeah,
or my life.
it can.
Yeah.
It definitely can. Yeah, it just depends on what works best for you. And another little trick that I'll share, if you want to do something like a writing exercise that helps you to manifest a different life or just an upgraded life, is you could sit down and do the whole 2 pages or 2 paragraphs or 1 page or 10-minute, whatever, and you can write a vignette of what your life is like. So an example of one that I wrote back when I worked in the Matrix, and that is true now. And it took, I don't know, a little while, maybe like a year or two to be true. But I probably had crazy resistance at the time, whatever. And it was a complete shift. So my life at the time was I had to get up before dawn. I had to get ready for work. I had to drive an hour to get to work. And then I sat in an office all day. And so what my little vignette was that I wake up, the sun wakes me up, and I stretch luxuriously, and I get up and I do yoga in the sunlight at a nice normal pace. And then I write for a little while, and then I dance for a little while, and then I sit down to have my breakfast. And I just kind of stretch that out into a 10-minute writing or whatever. That ended up absolutely that happened. That's the life that I now currently live and have for years. So you can, at any given time, especially during this 2 weeks, if you feel like sitting down and doing something like this, you can make these little vignettes and just kind of create a whole little story and go into it. And that is like a nice little pop of magic that you can send out that will come back around.
I love that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So anything you guys want to share or ask about the first feeling bullet point? Okay. So the next one that I have here, because we're going to try to hit all the main aspects of life, is home. Home in general. How your home feels. How, if there needs to be a shift in your home, go after the shift. The most ideal way that home can feel. Yeah, for me, there's been a thing in the past 5 years of my life or so that it's been difficult to ground into a place permanently. So I have a nomadic life, which is lovely, but it also has drawbacks, and I would love to be more grounded. So for me, my affirmation will be about a more grounded space that feels just right, that isn't sacrificing anything, but that's rather providing with a nice pillow, to be on. So just about how your home feels or how it is for you, or even how it looks, just whatever's important to you. And again, in an ideal world, this does not have to be realistic.
How would you start that phrase?
I would say my home.
Just my home. Okay.
Yeah. And then that's what I'm writing. Like my home is, feels, comes, becomes, transforms into whatever. thoughts? What are you guys feeling as you're writing this one out?
Is it a good idea to say like every day, so an inspiring space to create in every day, or am I limiting myself there, or even like kind of
Might just want to say to create in, because what if one day you don't
Yeah.
feel like creating, you know?
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, it's important if you live with other people, whether they be roommates or family, that you address how it feels, how the vibe of your home feels. Even if you live by yourself, it's important that you talk about how it feels to be in your home space. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So if it's so I have my life partners,
Mhm.
but I always feel like I don't want to impose my wishes on him.
It's how it feels to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
so
I see.
I'm a huge homebody, so this feels really good to write about. And I live with other people. And I would love to share what I just wrote, if that's
Yes,
okay.
please.
Cool. All right. So I live with my partner and then one other roommate and my puppy. I wrote, my home feels reflective of my inner peace and creative expression. My home acts as a catalyst for my creative, spiritual, and personal development. And the last one is like the vibe. My home carries kind, positive, and accepting energies. Because
Lovely.
sometimes there can be some negative stuff happening, and I really want to keep it super, super just like accepting and open and lovely. So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it reminds me of Louise Hay, her daily affirmation in You Can Heal and Heal Your Life. And I forget the exact words, but it's something about I fill my home with a vibration of love, and all who enter, including myself, are nourished by this vibration of love. Yeah, I'm gonna add some of that in mine too. That's a great idea. Okay, so just go back and read the first couple ones that you've got. Go back and just look at it and see how it feels in your emotional space, in your heart space, as you're going back over what you said. Yeah. You can feel how you're kind of generating a different frequency. Yeah. Like you can kind of start to feel it move, and it's moving things in your spirit, because we are all projectors of our reality, like a film projector. So if you shift your spirit, what comes back to you is going to shift. And that's the way that this works. So now that we have the emotion we wake up with, now that we have where we wake up, let's think about our energy. How is our energy flowing? I'm a morning person, annoyingly so, I will say. Like, yes, it's true, especially when I'm people who aren't morning people. And I find more people than I think aren't morning people. So generally, it's best for me to stay to myself. Not only so I don't annoy them, but also so they don't bring me down. Because I'm also very sensitive in the morning, first part of the day. You know, you get a grumpy word from someone, at least for me, I get a grumpy word from someone, I'm a little dimmer that day. So it is important to then say, okay, I wake up feeling this way, I'm in this space, and then how is my energy flowing? Am I exuberant? Am I smooth? Am I creative? Am I wanting to move, wanting to be still, contemplative, whatever feels best to you? And we're thinking about life upgrades. So we're thinking about in a perfect world, and this is going to be generating and ramping up the energy that you want. So yeah, just the energy that's flowing through your body and into the world. In a perfect world, in a perfect life for you, what would that be? And you can just start it with my energy if you want, or the energy I hold, or the energy that comes through me. Or you can not even say the word energy. It just depends on what works for you. All right, how's this one feeling for you guys?
This one seemed a little bit harder for me to like pin down.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I feel like I'm always like pretty mellow, but I want to, I want to feel more alive, more exuberant. I really like that word.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because it feels like more of a stretch for me.
Mm-hmm. How about so this is a great time to use like inviting something. So rather than stating what already is, like maybe something like I invite energies of exuberance and inspiration to come to me or to come through me. And then if it doesn't come, it's okay. But if it does, there's a path right there for it. And if you keep saying it every day, that path gets more and more steady.
Oh, I really like that. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. Maya, I see you talking, but I can't hear you. Let's see. Are you muted? No, you're not muted. I can't hear you. Let's see. I'm going to mute you and unmute you. Let's see. Okay, unmute you. Now say something.
Okay, you can
Yeah,
hear me.
now I can hear you. Weird. Okay.
So, is it okay that I sort of feel two things are going parallel for me. I'm a bit self-conscious of the time. I don't know if you're into astrology, but I'm Moon in Capricorn, super efficient. So I'm like, I just don't want to let myself really relax into this exercise because I want to keep on top of it. So is it okay if afterwards I'm actually recreating it and delving deeper into that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Do it. Yeah. And you can redo this as often as you want, even in the 2 weeks. Because what you'll notice, at least for me, I'll have affirmation lists. I have my work affirmation list that I keep on the front of my work notebook is the same one I've had for like 2 years. But over the time, some of the points will sometimes get a little dull, or some of them don't. Some of them always stay sharp and lovely. But when they get dull, change them out, because sometimes you outgrow things. Sometimes you want something and get it, and so you don't have to keep pulling on it because it's right here now. It's a baseline. I no longer need to say on my affirmations list, I have graduated from working in the matrix. I don't work in the matrix anymore. So that doesn't need to go on my list. You see what I'm saying? But at one time it definitely did. Yeah. And that translates to everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the second thing is kind of what you said about the matrix. So it's an upgrade. So I can, as I'm also in the matrix and have a day job,
Mm-hmm.
so I can part of the information will come maybe to that when your work life or day life or something is outside the matrix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next thing we're doing. And I will also say, for you guys and for those watching this in the future who aren't here presently now, it's not a bad thing to work in the matrix, right? The matrix is cool. The matrix needs everybody that it fits with. It's not intrinsically bad. It doesn't work for me to work in the matrix because I get drained out with the 9 to 5 pace. It just, my life force ebbs away. It just is not what I'm cut out to do. But there are people who thrive in that. And so I just want to make sure that I'm officially saying, like, I'm not telling everybody to move out of the matrix. It's just, if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit, and there can also be a step down process too. An example is, so my last matrix job was a secretary for some engineers when I was in stone school. And I worked for these 3 different engineering professors, and they were great. They were like making a Google car back in 2009. It's cool. But the job was just killing me. I would have panic attacks driving to work. I was really struggling. And I would sit in my office. The campus that we were on is one of the most beautiful campuses in the nation. Is in Pasadena, California. So it's like flowers everywhere and green trees and grass. And I would sit in my little office and look out the window in my high heels thinking, I want to be out there. I want to be out there under that tree, and I can't. And I felt like a caged animal. I felt like a caged bird. I could not do it. And so I thought that my only option was to leave. And I did leave, and it was okay. And since then, I've had nice and fat times. I've had lean times. It's been all over the place. But had I had the wherewithal to realize that everyone could potentially be my friend, I probably could have approached my bosses who liked me. I mean, I was a good secretary as that kind of thing went, according to them. And I could have probably said, hey guys, I think it's better for my mental health if I can work out there. Could I bring a blanket and could I get a laptop from the department just to have it work? And could I have calls come through my cell phone? And could I just work out there for 3 hours in the afternoon? They probably would have said yes, but it never occurred to me that I could marry those two things. So for you guys, as you're transitioning out, and for other people who might not want to leave, they might like the security and the pace and stuff of their matrix job, but also want to add in more holistic aspects, it can be done. Think outside the box, especially now with things like wellness coming around, things like holistic health coming around. You might be a trailblazer for your company if you can think of a way to do this and present it in a way that it seems like an upgrade. That could happen. You know, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So yeah. Anything more about the energy before we move on to the work thing?
Well, like I was what's the word? Reluctant to use the word, add the word. I want to feel joyful because I don't really.
How do you want to feel?
Well, that's my point. But I know why. I had a kind of, my joy was injured sometime a couple of years ago. And I kind of feel almost like if I let myself be joyful, I'll have the fall quite bad. But it's not, it's almost like I feel, meaning I just want to feel like just content with the way I am, however that is, whenever that is. I just don't want to freak out that I'm not following someone's idea of me that afternoon, that day, that life. That's all. Just that sense of just like content, self-contentment. And that can be joy maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. But so yeah, is it okay if I don't lead with the great energetic vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just whatever you authentically want. And so it could be something like I'm satisfied with my own natural pace. You know, it could be I trust my internal rhythms of emotion, you know. Just whatever is the thing that feels right to you. And you know, it might not always feel good, but it might still feel right. Yes. And that's better than trying to force happiness when happiness is not necessarily what's right for you in that moment. Maybe that deep, moody, contemplative stuff is where a lot of your art comes from. You know, we're supposed to feel all of our emotions. So this is just whatever is right and flowing, not whatever is the thing that the books will tell you is the best.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so we're getting into work now. All right, let's get into work. So a couple years ago, a friend of mine and I decided not to call work anymore. We decided to call it weaving because we were thinking about weaving the energies. So when it comes to work or weaving or whatever, those of you who are in the matrix, those of you who are not in the matrix, those of you who are starting a new career path or who are just upgrading the one you already have, or making a hobby into your career or whatever, or don't even know. I'm sure some people taking this now or in the future don't even necessarily know what they want to be doing. So the idea is, I found a truth when it comes to abundance and soul purpose. And it's that if you can figure out what's your highest joy and excitement, what you're naturally good at, what you like doing, what feels right to you, what you naturally do, and you can see a spot in the world that needs it, and you can plug it in, you'll always be taken care of. You might not always have thousands of dollars in your bank account, but you'll always be taken care of in whatever way you need at the time. So when we talk about work, it's going to be different for every person. And you can, again, be as broad as you want. And, you know, maybe someone taking this workshop now or in the future just needs to step away from work for a while. You know, not everyone struggles with money. Some people have plenty of money, but they don't have joy or love. Or some people have taken abundance classes from me before to get pregnant, you know, to whatever, right? Whatever it is that's yours to do. So the idea with work is that what you want to be doing and offering the world and giving the world, aligning that with what you naturally want to fountain forth, with what naturally fountains forth from you in a way that feels right to you. Good, maybe, right, definitely. Especially if, like I said, a lot of art, amazing art, comes from angsty feelings. So it might not be that you're always jumping up and down for joy, but it will always be that it'll feel like, I don't know, catharsis or good expression or whatever. So depending on your personality type, some of you guys might want to write how your work is received by others. Some of you might want to write how it feels to you. This is not, we're not on money yet. That's going to be next. Abundance is going to be next. Right now, it's about the work that you do. So this is assuming that you have as much money as you need and you're not having to sacrifice anything. In a perfect world, as your life is upgraded, what does your contribution to the world, your work in the world, feel like to you? How do you want to think about it? Make an affirmation about that. Just a quick breathing check as y'all are working, reminding you to breathe. Deep breath. Also, don't feel too much pressure about this because this might be one of the ones that change as you read it over and over, and that's okay. So just get it to where you can see it now. Any questions, comments, things you're thinking about, things you're working on? How's this going?
I just feel, I mean, I'm just shaking. This is, none of the questions so far has, I mean, maybe they're just, I don't know what, but I'm just, so I'd just like to share, since like the lady earlier did. And there's more, there's so much more I want to write. But so my work, and it's important that it's capital W. So it's not my day-to-day job, which I also enjoy, but it's not. So it's my work. My work is, it's nothing too deep, but anyway, my work is deeply satisfying. It gives me pleasure. My work is an artful expression of all I am, particularly my darkest and deepest. My work inspires others. And then I was going to say, my work changes others, which I actually would love, but that sounds a bit like...
How about my work has a transformative effect?
That's gentler and nicer.
Well, it's to change others. You can change them into lots of things. I mean, I guess you could transform them into lots of things too. I mean, I like my work to be activating and inspiring. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, it makes you feel like you're doing something worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe inspires transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it gives them the power.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if it does, well, it would be nice to leave a footprint, which is, you know, an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Cool. Anything else you guys want to share about the work one? All right. So the next one is abundance. So we just talked about work, we talked about your energy, we talked about your work. So here's abundance. So this is stuff that you receive and flow. It can be money, it can be other things. It just depends on whatever abundance is for you. And everyone's in a different spot, and we all go through different spots in our lifetime. So even throughout the course of a year, there are times where we're more or less abundant in whatever ways are relevant at the time. So the idea here is to have a relationship with your abundance where you are cultivating a flow of it that feels right to you. That you're cultivating something that makes you feel strong, responsible, happy, content, um, trusting that you got it, that you can handle whatever it is, and also to have fun with that. To allow yourself to not take things too seriously necessarily, and be able to have the resources so that you don't have to take things too seriously. So in your world, whatever that will be.
So in this section, do you have to think about like the dual meaning of words? Like for example, if it's one about abundance, should you not use the word like free as in freedom, but then also, or does it like, is it a personal thing?
It's a personal thing. I mean, I know people who go as far as to never say good morning because of mourning, because to mourn also is what you do when like a loved one dies,
Right.
right? So personally, I feel like for me, the feeling that it brings about is more important than a thesaurus definition of the word. But yes, that is absolutely a personal thing. That is absolutely something that you would wanna choose yourself as you're writing it. And also, it's funny. I was just thinking, as I was writing my affirmation, I was going to say something about it developing in many groundbreaking ways, and then I was like, no, I like multiple groundbreaking ways, and many and multiple are not that different, right? But something about my brain really liked the feel of the word multiple rather than many. It felt like it allowed for more real stuff to come, whereas many just felt a little too frou-frou for me in that moment. Another time it might have felt good. So it's funny because I was just thinking that before you asked that question. So what is the word that you're thinking about?
Well, I was thinking about like, having multiple ways of earning money, which I like so that I can feel free, but from feeling freedom. But
yeah. Well, if you had a thought, let's just find another word that feels right since you questioned it, right? So how about it comes in many ways. So you feel, what about like secure?
Yeah, that was going to be it. It was going to be like free and secure at the same time.
Okay, so let's see. Open, elevated, fluid, something about you being able to make the decision, something about you being able to be the one who controls your own resources in a way that you can trust the universe, the way that the universe has your back, but it also has your back because of your abilities.
Okay, I'll chew on that one some more.
Yeah, like put an asterisk there. It'll come at you when you're like eating dinner tonight or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How's it going for you guys? Any other questions, comments about the abundance one? I mean, this entire workshop could just be on abundance. Like it's a whole thing, especially in our world. This is something that I work with all the time, especially because for me, like I said, sometimes in this career that I have, sometimes I am super abundant. Sometimes I am squeaking pennies. You know, it just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to predict. And sometimes I'll think it's going to go one way and it goes another way in both directions. So for me, it's more important to, and also I'm working with abundance blocks from my childhood experiences. During a couple of my formative years, my parents were really, really like seriously really tight. So I internalized some abundance blocks that I've been combing out during my entire adulthood. And it's funny because my parents don't remember it that way. They're just like, it was, because for them already as adults, it was just a few years. But for me, it was during these very important years where I was understanding how the world worked. And so it's just, you know, it's the way that human minds develop. And so we just have to keep going, keep pushing it forward. So think about, a nice way to think here is times where you have had as much abundance as you want. How did that feel? How did it feel to be in your body then? How did it feel to use your resources then? I know that I like to be very generous with my resources. I'm definitely one who will take everyone to go do a thing, or, you know, come fly out to see me, I'll buy your ticket, or, you know, whatever, let's all go, blah, 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 I'll get everyone's tab, or whatever. That can also work against me sometimes too. It has in the past before, where I would do too much and be taken for granted or resented or whatever. So it's a funny balance, and it changes over time. So with this one too, feel free to let it develop over time. Like you're doing something right now to set it, and then as it kind of unwinds in your mind over the next few days, feel free to come back and kind of craft it and shift it as you go. Yeah. Okay, cool. Any questions or comments about this one before we move on to the next? Yes, yeah, Maya.
I'm actually completely stuck on this one, and I have purchased your other course on abundance, so I haven't yet started that, so that will probably help. But I've written things that kind of make sense to me, but just maybe if you can guide me. Or
Sure.
So I cultivate a flow of exchange, meaning I just think, you know, so it's not just give, it's give and take, as in I give and then I get something in return. It's kind of, yeah. Then I happily receive, happily is important. Happily receive material rewards from others for services I provide. Is material rewards too waffly? Do I say money? But it could be
No. Yeah, you could say, I mean, for me, abundance means a few different things, right? Like abundance means time.
I was about to get to that.
Yeah, yeah.
I can afford a lot of time for my work. Meaning
yeah.
I can afford to have money so I can have plenty of time to do my work. It sounds a bit, I don't know. Like
It's good. I mean, I think that the words that you're saying are fine. The energy that you have around it is showing that it's something to like chew on. And the thing that's coming to mind is seeing it as a flow rather than an object, you know? So like it's a flow that you can direct and that you can receive and that comes through you and you direct over here, because that's what money is. I mean, nowadays it's hardly ever even cash. Nowadays it's just numbers on a screen most of the time. So it's really just energy. And so just giving it, taking it. And for me, what real abundance means is having what I need when I need it. It doesn't necessarily mean huge stores and hoarding a bunch of stuff. But for some people, it authentically does. Like I know people who do not feel safe unless they have a savings account at a certain level. Depending on the person, depending on their world, depending on their lifestyle and what kind of culture they're in. So I think, however, that the most equal reaching thing is to think about it as a flow, as like a beam of energy that you're directing, letting flow to you, swirl around you, flow out from you, but that always stays strong, but doesn't get pinched off in either way. That doesn't get pinched off so you get it and you hold it, and it doesn't get pinched off so you like bleed it all out and it's all gone. You don't have anything, you know. Yeah, so figuring out that right balance of it for you, and it's going to change in time. My definitions of abundance now are different than they would have been 15 years ago. Yeah, I don't care about the same stuff.
No, of course. Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So now we're going to shift our focus and lighten it up into play. In a perfect world, how do you play? When it's not about work, when it's not about creating, creativity comes later, when it's not about your health, and it's not about, you know, your fitness, and it's not about your meditating, it's just about playing, just time off. Where do you vacation? How often do you vacation? Maybe your entire life is a vacation. Maybe you go away with your whole family. Maybe you escape by yourself. Maybe you do both in certain balances. I know that in my perfect life, sometimes I travel alone, sometimes I travel with others, maybe a lover, maybe a group, like it. But for me, playing is very important, to just be somewhere in nature and like stare off into space for a while. Just like lay around. Laying around is very important to me. I always joke that I'm part cat, and I just like to lay around a lot of the time. That's also where I get the stuff that carries my work forward. If I'm constantly going, I don't get the stuff, guess what? I'm broke fast. But if I force myself to sit down sometimes, even when I have stuff to do, if I will make myself sit and be for a little while, the stuff still gets done, because I can't do it for that long, because eventually it's like, Karis, get your ass up and do the thing. However, while it's getting to that point, I will often get huge downloads that then will carry me through months of my life going forward, in my work life too. So playing, what is playing to you? How do you just refill your spirit? What is it that you need to do? And again, these are all just intros. Later, it's going to unwind more and more and more. But I would recommend thinking about how much time you have purely off. And also not only in your everyday world, but when you like go out, like when you vacation away, or even if you don't like away, if you do staycations or whatever it is for you, but definitely just the play. And we're adults, so it's different than it was when we were kids. But what is it for you? What kind of things do you like? How often? How much? What are the ratios there? All right, how's it going? Thoughts, feelings, questions, shares? Playing's not something that we think about too often. Raja, were you going to say something? Thought I saw you start too. Say something. No, yes, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm having trouble hearing you. It's just static. Would you type it in the chat? Would you type what you're going to say in the chat? If you click the chat box down below, because the words you're saying, it's mostly jumbled. I can't hear, and I want to make sure I am.
yeah, I'm having a bad connection, so.
That's okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I can, but it's still pretty blurry. Do you see the chat box? Like the chat icon down below? If you click on it, a little chat window will open up. I'll type it to you. Let's see. Here's the chat. Do you see it? Did you see it
Yeah,
pop up?
something here that you said.
Yeah, type it in there and then I won't miss words. Yeah.
Yeah, my have so many.
I can hear that you're talking, but I can't really hear what you're saying. Ooh, internet. It makes everything so much easier, doesn't it? Not exactly. I don't see anything over there yet. Have you sent something through? Maybe it's just taking a while to come through. It did.
Yeah, sorry, keyboard issue.
I can't tell what you're saying. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Sorry, move along.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh. Never mind. I really want to know what you were going to say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I can't hear you. Yeah, when you were talking before, I could mostly get the gist, but I feel like it's gotten worse. Yeah, I'm sorry. If it occurs to you, please do type it, and I will read what you say and then answer it for everyone so they can know. Because your perspective is valid, and I want to include it. We just can't hear you. So, yeah. And also, you could write it down and hold it up too, like you did. That would be fine if you feel like doing that too. Okay. So the option is open. You can feel free to use it or not. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Would you mind bringing your mic, muting your mic again, because there's a feedback going on. Yeah, headphones sometimes help with this. Sometimes they don't. Just depends. All right. Did anyone else want to say anything about the play thing before we move on to the next one? Any questions, comments? Good. All right. The next one we have is about balance. And we kind of touched on this before when we talked about the balance of play and work. It would be how much of your life, and again, this is life upgrades. This doesn't have to be realistic. This doesn't have to be something that you can see how you're going to get into right now. The idea is that how much of your life goes toward one thing or the other. And I have spoken to people on their deathbeds. I do know what people say. No one ever says they wish they had spent more time in the office, you know? So as we're nearing the end of our lives, often it's so easy to see what's hard for us to see when we're in the trenches of it. But now is an opportunity to kind of go up and look down at your life and say, what is it that I want? What is it that mostly jives with my spirit and that feels right to me uniquely? So balance. That's what it is. So like, and again, you can start with one thing here and then shift it as you go. This does not have to be the final answer, but something about how much of each thing you do, something about how the different aspects of your life flow, how the pace of your life feels, how the balance of your life feels. So then as you're reading this list over and over, remember you're like recalibrating your spirit to create and pull in a different kind of experience. Okay. Questions, comments about this one? How is it thinking about this balance?
This one feels a little tricky too. I feel like I'm I feel like the play and the balance one are very similar in mine, but I guess it doesn't matter probably.
Well, the play one, yeah, well, I mean, the play one is what the play is, the balance is how it fits.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, they're kind of similar too. It's just because the balance was part of the play. That might have been my mistake in the way I described it. But basically, because the play balances with the rest, but then the balance one is all the rest of it too. So for instance, for me, one of the things that I struggle with in my life sometimes is getting drained, is like committing to too many things when I do have a bunch of energy and forgetting that there are times when I don't have that much energy. And so
Yeah.
not planning for when I don't have that much energy. So one of my affirmations, for instance, today is my life balance is perfectly suited to the ways my energy naturally flows.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
I like that.
All right. So we have about 20 minutes left and we have about 5 more points to get through. So the first one is health, glowing, vitality, whatever you're into. Lots of people need different things. Different people into different things. I'm way out on the fringes of somewhere. So I know that what I'm writing might not be what everyone else is writing. So here you just want to be thinking about how your life energy flows in your body, how your vitality is, how your health is. Something that I like to include in affirmations lists very often is something like, my physical form becomes more healthy and beautiful every day, or like I grow more healthy with time, or just I like the increasing vibe, because it's true, if you do choose healthier habits as you go, whatever that means for you, because we're all starting at different points, um, as you choose healthier habits, it is possible for your energy to increase and increase. I think there's a huge misunderstanding with the way our bodies work, especially as years pass. I don't think that we have to start off with tons of life force when we're young and then have it peter off and peter off and peter off as years go by. I think that, especially for me now, in a lot of ways, I feel healthier now than I did when I was 18 years old, because I understand my body better. And I know what is good for me and what's not good for me in such a way that then I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll eat the thing that breaks my face out and not know why my face is breaking out, just wear concealer. Or now I'm like, all right, Karis, just don't eat peanuts. If you don't eat peanuts, you have pimples all over your chin. How about that? Right? But at the time, I didn't know. So as life goes, the idea here is health. And that can mean fitness, or it can just mean the prana moving through you, the life meaning through you. It can mean stuff about your diet. It can mean stuff about your hydration or your sleep. Yeah. And I'm sure there are some people who will take this at some point who might have health issues or chronic issues. And so, again, this is a place to set an affirmation where either that issue has evened out, or you're inviting new answers. You're inviting every single day people find out about stuff they didn't know. I had no idea that anyone could be allergic to gluten until I was in my mid-20s. And I'm not even technically allergic to gluten, but I know that when I eat gluten, I feel heavier, I get kind of bloated, I don't really like how my body feels. So I can eat it, it's not like I have celiac disease, but it's not super good for me. So I just avoid it most of the time. Stuff like that. It could also be that maybe you have food sensitivities that you don't want to have. You say, I invite my body to come to a point of health where I can eat whatever the hell I want, and it's fine. Just whatever feels best to you, whatever feels like your next frontier is, the thing that you're working toward. Oh, Maya, let's see. I can't hear you. Let me mute and unmute you again. Maybe that helps. Say something. No, try again. No, I can't. Let's see. I'll mute you again. You can mute for a second, unmute you. That worked last time. I don't know. Hmm. No, I can't hear you at all. Would you maybe unplug your headphones and plug them back in? Oh, I'm hearing something.
Can you hear
There
me
you
now?
are. Yes, I can. Mhm.
So basically, I have a resistance here, partly because those are the type of affirmations I have written billions of times, and I keep failing, whatever, meaning I love my food too much, and also I use it as comfort emotional, and it's one of the deepest issues, all that stuff, blah, blah. So
Mhm.
part of me is sort of thinking, up until now I'm completely with you on all this on this journey, but here doubts is just like creeping and being honest, like there's no way I'm gonna sort this out with it. Maybe I shouldn't even try to sort it out then.
Ooh, you know you're in a good spot when we're thinking these kinds of thoughts. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the places where you don't want to force, where you want to invite and encourage. So maybe like I invite a new understanding of my relationship with food, one that inspires a healthier way of living. You don't have to be specific about what that means. You know, usually my body really likes green things. Usually green leaves are what I should live on mostly, of some type or another. However, I learned a couple years ago that I can freaking overdo it. I said, okay, I'm not going to eat any grains. I'm going to see how it goes for a while. I'm not going to eat any rice, no quinoa, no nothing. I'm just going to eat greens as my main staple and see how that goes. For a while, it was great. And then one day I was really hungry. I needed some freaking grains, but I didn't know because I'm learning what my balance is, you know. And you read what other people do. You're like, all right, I'm going to try what they do and see. I made myself this huge bowl of kale, like steamed, seasoned, tasted delicious. I scarfed the whole thing down and I was sick for the rest of the day. My stomach hurt so much. I was hugely bloated. It was horrible. My digestion just ground to a halt. I was like, okay, let me try something else. And then I ate like a bowl of rice, the thing that I had vilified in my head as being bad. And I felt so much better. So just reminding you that what you read and what science says, we're still figuring it out. If we understood food, there would be no more allergies. So whatever works for other people might not work for you. Whatever you read in the magazines or the articles or by the YouTubers or whoever is not necessarily true for you. It's not even necessarily true for them. They might be in a phase. I'm super sugar sensitive right now in my life. I hope to God that's a phase because I really miss sugar and I really like it. But it just makes my body do crazy things. And so I think that it's just probably like a gut imbalance that after a couple years of being low sugar, I'll probably one day eat a candy bar and be like, oh, I'm fine. You know, sometimes that happens. And so rather than saying, I'm going to go into this parameter, I'm doing an affirmation to change myself. So we're like, well, let me just invite myself to heal. Let me just say, let me be mobile with it and be able to test things and see what happens and what doesn't. Some days something will feel good, some days it won't. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's health. Now we have 4 left. We're getting into relationships. Okay, relationships. I know that so many people have so many different thoughts on this. Some people want to get out of relationships. Some people want to get into relationships. Some people want to heal existing relationships. Some people want everyone to leave them alone. Some people are really lovely and want people to come in. Who knows? Whatever is for you. You can start broad here and go more specific. And there are different categories. You can write something about love. You can write something about friendships. You can write something about family friendships. Really what we're trying to do in a life upgrade is bring you to a place where the relationships around you feel good, right, balanced, where you have a good amount of alone time, where you have a good amount of community time, whatever that means for you. I know that for me, generally I like to be alone. And then I like to have wild, crazy, amazing experiences where there are a bunch of people around and we're all having a great time. And then I like to be alone again. You know, if I try to live in too close community, I get drained really fast. So just do what's right for you. Mm-hmm. And there might be something included in there about maybe letting go of stuff that's not right for you in whatever kinds of relationships. You know, it might be your work relationship. It might be some of your personal relationships. And it's okay to not know. Like I said, as we transform, as you read this over time, something might not be right. You might need to change it. Right. How are you guys feeling about this one? Again, a reminder to breathe. Alrighty. Any thoughts you want to share? Questions, tweaks, comments about relationships? Move on. Oh, Raja, you want to say something? I see your mouth moving. Let's check. Let's see. I'll unmute you and see if I can hear you this time. Say something. There you are.
You can hear me.
I can hear you. I don't know how clear.
I can't believe this app's still working. So.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay. Yeah, write it down or type it in the chat. I want to know what you want to say, but. Let's see. Your CPU broke. Oh, dang. Merc Retro got you. Sorry about that. Glad that you're here. Are you using your phone? Is that no? Yeah. At least with these Zoom calls, you can use smartphones for them, which is nice. They're a little less easy, but you can do it. All right. Okay. Okay. So the next one is creativity. And this, some of you guys watching this now in the future are artists. So this is partially if you're like a professional artist or moving into a space of being a professional artist, your creativity is partially your work, but this is the stuff, just the pure creativity, that some of it ends up flowing into your work and some of it's just for your personal. This is just your relationship with the pure creativity. And it can be in a bunch of different ways. I mean, some of your creativity might come through moving your bodies. Some of it might come through things you draw or write or photograph or whatever, you know, things you create live, music you make. Right now is the invitation for your creativity to flow through, the cultivation of your creativity. And I can feel that there's a wide range of creative openness in the group now and in the future that's going to take this workshop. So reminding you that everyone's starting from a different spot, and wherever you are is wherever you are. But definitely it's true that we are creative beings, and it's important for all of us to be creative in some kind of way. And that's also marbled into the play, because often when we're creative, we feel playful about it when it's pure creativity. But it's not exactly the same as play, because you can also be playing when you're hiking up the side of a mountain, and you can also be playing when you're watercoloring, you know, but this is the pure creativity boiling up through you. All right, any questions or shares about creativity?
What if you have too many ideas?
that that means that you have them to last you for a really long time. And you can like maybe jot down certain things to remind you. And then when you feel like being creative, you can look at that list and be like, which one glows for me right now? And you follow that one. You don't have to do them all at one time. That's so true. So many people I know are like, I have so many things I want to do. I'm like, yeah, that means we have like the next 20 years of our lives full of our creations ready. It just depends on when it's the divine time for each one to come through. So if you have many ideas, you can work on all of them. You don't have to finish one before you go to the next one. It's okay if you never finish some of them.
Yeah.
The point is just to let it come through, just to open the flow.
Thank you.
And with conversations that we've had before, I think that for you, mostly right now, it's important to just like let it be not too serious and let yourself kind of get your hands in that clay and just mess around with it and find where your sweet spot is now. Because where your sweet spot was before, when your creativity was really open and flowing, your life is different now, I think, than it was then.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a different center spot now than it was then.
totally.
All right. Anything else about creativity, you guys? Alrighty. Two more. The last two are kind of similar. We can lump them into one. It's about nature and solitude. Because we've talked a lot about ourselves and our world, but there's a hugely underrated importance on getting into nature, really into nature. Sometimes it can be a park. It can be a park. That's cool. That's fine. Better than nothing. But getting out onto a hiking trail, getting out onto a beach, getting out onto a nature preserve, going camping, whatever it is for you, in reason and wherever it is in the nation you live, climate, lifestyle, whatever. Definitely, let's make an affirmation about your relationship to nature in your life. And solitude as well. Now, these two don't have to be the same, but I'll let you work on them at the same time. Because for me, those two things, I often appreciate nature better if I'm alone. If I'm not alone, it's fun in a different way. But there's a certain holiness about it when it's just me and the earth and not another human around. Something about prioritizing those things too. Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, let me put you back in.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, super sorry. I was just gonna say, the solitude thing. It actually, I would love that to be my business essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're at the end of this, but just as a quick kind of comment from you, feedback.
Sure.
Am I making it be in my head as something so weird or odd, or can you think of someone whose business is teaching solitude, how to be actually that's all it is, just
Sure.
how to be with yourself and how to love it and all that?
I mean,
where am I missing all that?
no, I can't think of anyone that teaches solitude specifically, but that's just a niche. I can think of people who have different niches. I can think of people who teach pleasure. I can think of a person who teaches pleasure is her whole thing, and she just teaches about pleasure. I can think of people who teach about different types of creativity, different types of meditation, your niche can be anything. And actually, if you wanted to make that a job, I think that's probably something that's needed. I think that solitude is very underrated. you know, and underappreciated. And a lot of people don't even know how to be alone. They truly don't. And they freak out if they think they're going to be. And when they are, they don't know what to do with themselves and have to immediately go back into a crowd of people. So I think that if that's something that you wanted to pursue, the world could use it. Maybe experiment with it a little bit and see if, you know, go into your own solitude, go into nature or whatever your thing is, and ask, how can I share this? And see what comes through, and then test it out a little bit and see if it gets wheels or it doesn't. You know, you don't have to take these great big leaps of faith. That's one of the great things about this, is that you can take small steps and test them out and see if they work. And if they don't work, you can shift direction. If they do work, you can keep appreciating it. And that's something that is an abundance code. It's actually one of the abundance codes that I'm going to be teaching in my abundance class today. So some of you guys are going to see it again who's taking the abundance class. But it's about when the trickle comes in. You know, a lot of times when a trickle comes in of some type of abundance, we're just like, okay, yeah, thanks. I'd rather it be more, you know, thanks, but I want it to be more. To instead go, yes, thank you. Often it's easier for us to receive a trickle than it would be for us to receive a waterfall anyway, right at first. And to say, yes, universe, more of this. Yes, thank you, more, please. And you can feel the universe go, okay. And then that channel start to open. Now, it often will take a couple days for that to manifest physically, but you can feel it energetically first. And that's what we're doing right now. We're setting the energy. Yeah. So now we've gone through, yeah, does that feel better?
My God, just like everything is just a light in there.
Yeah. Yay, good, my pleasure. Yay. Okay, so now that we've gone through the whole list, let's end it with a cap at the end. I find that very helpful things to do, depends on your cosmology, what you think is going on in the universe. But for me, the ones I like to end it with is something about surrendering to divine will, something about saying this and or better. I mean, I'm very, very glad that the wishes I had when I was 17 years old did not come true. The ones that didn't come true. You know, I think about what that life would have been and I'm like, whoa, I had no idea, right? Because when we are trailblazers, we do stuff that no one's thought of before, sometimes including ourselves. So saying this and or better, I surrender to divine will, my heart is grateful. You can call angels in if you believe in angels. That's a great one. If you believe in angels, often you have to call on them because the whole human free will thing, so you have to ask them to help you. But when you do, they come. So just putting some kind of end cap on it that puts you in a space of receiving, a space of gratitude, a space of openness. And trust to help. Okay. So when you're done, go back and read your whole list. I know we're going a little bit over, we're almost finished, but go back and read your list, the whole thing. You can do it quickly, just see how it makes you feel. You guys feeling that momentum start? You get about halfway done, you're feeling things change and shift. Okay, how do you feel after you read your list? What is it like for you to have just gone through all of these? You might feel a little overwhelmed. You might feel happy. You might feel catharsis or release.
Yeah, I definitely like these. I feel like mine's pretty long, so I
That's
may
okay.
have to like simplify it a little bit, but
That's
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
And if you do it the minute you open your eyes in the morning, even if it's pretty long, usually it doesn't take. I mean, even if it takes you 4 minutes to read it,
Right, yeah,
you know.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So here's your next assignment. After this is done, go ground, eat something. We're spending a lot of energy, so it's important to like ground back in after this kind of work. Eat something, disconnect from this for a minute, let your cleanse your mental palate, right? And then come back and either write it or type it beautifully, right? So that it's a pleasure to look at as well. You can even decorate it, you can, whatever. Um, and then I recommend that you keep it next to your bed, and that first thing when you open your eyes, whether or not you set your alarm, if you set your alarm, first off, I would definitely recommend that if you possibly can, sleep with your phone on airplane mode. If you're in charge of Wi-Fi in your house while you're sleeping, turn off your Wi-Fi. I find that it just increases the value of sleep. If you don't, that's fine. It's just something that I find that definitely makes a huge difference if I put my phone on airplane mode, because I mean, it can wait till I wake up. Some people it can't. Like if you have children that are somewhere else or something that you want to be available 24/7 or something like that, it's okay. But the point is, let yourself check out when you check out as much as you can. And then right when you come back, so when you open your eyes, especially if you set an alarm on your phone to wake you up in the morning, put a notification, read the affirmations list, do it, because this momentum we started will do something. If you don't read this at all again, it's likely that in 2 weeks you'll come back and say, oh yeah, some of this stuff happened. But the difference between whether or not you actually do it every day is ridiculous. It's powerful, because yeah, like we said, you keep ratcheting it up and ratcheting it up. And also, like I said, if something feels a little disjointed and weird after you do it a few times, just shift it. You're not married to this list. This is just a jump off. And so you can keep cultivating it and changing it as you go. But 2 weeks is the magic number with this. It's not that everything will happen within 2 weeks, but some of it will certainly move within 2 weeks. And the whole point, more than the exact concepts, more than the exact words, the point is how it feels to you. When you're done, you want to be filled with this energy that's moving your life in a new way. And then keep going like, yes, yes, universe, yes. And every time something comes in, make sure you go, yes, thank you, universe, or whatever you see God as, or the great consciousness as. Say thank you. Yes, this is what I want. More, please. And do that morning and night. Best morning and night. But if you had to choose one, I'd say probably morning. But best to do it morning and night. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you go out and party your face off and then come fall into bed. As you're in bed, grab that list, read it, then go to sleep, Yeah, try to do it both those times. At least do it once a week, once a day. But if you can do it twice a day, again, that ratchets up more. Any other questions before we close out, you guys?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm so fired up about this very last piece about solitude business. I can't think of anything else at this point. I'm so like buzzing.
That's awesome.
But the thing is that like, I feel like that's going to be my favorite. I'm just going to skip through the list and go to that and just keep, kind of ramping that one up. But that's fine. No, I won't do that. I mean, I'll absolutely follow to the letter, but what you're asking. But my point is, if I'm feeling already like I want to just start acting on it, basically. Is that kind of against the
No, you can act on it.
Yeah.
If you want to act on it, act on it. The whole thing here is inspired action.
Yeah.
It's if you're excited. You don't ever want to have to push and force. I mean, sometimes you have to. Whoever likes doing their taxes, hardly anybody, but you got to do it. Some things you just have to do. But the idea with this stuff is that if you are in the flow of the divine flowing through you, bringing stuff through you to bless the world, then it usually feels good to do. So you can usually wait until it feels good. There are some things on your list probably that you cannot necessarily draw from line A to B. There are some things that you're probably like, how am I going to make that happen? I don't know. And that's when you just generate that energy and put it forward. Now, if you want to, I know some of you guys are energy workers here and in the future. If you want to put a little extra punch to this, what you do is once you've read the list and you're kind of marinating in this flow, then do the things you know to ramp up energy. If you're a Reiki practitioner, if you do Tai Chi or whatever kinds of these things, make it really solid, almost like a shimmering like raindrop, you know, and then send it out. The whole thing is to bring it up and release it, you know, like explode it and then see it go out and plug into the universe and then just release it. And you can do that every time. That's how you do magic. That's how you do a spell. You work up energy a lot, and then you release it and send it out to the universe. And it's really just spirit technology. There's really nothing all that esoteric about this. It's just using the emotions and mental capacity within us to influence physical reality, which happens every day within our body with the neuropeptides and stuff we release. It can also happen on a larger scale too. And you'll see that this kind of work takes a little bit of faith to get it started. But once you start seeing results, then it's easy because you know and you've experienced it. And then it gets more and more fun. So it'll take a little faith at first. Try to keep doing it. If you miss it sometime, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on the wagon with it. And then, yeah, we'll check in a couple weeks and see how it goes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Any final questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been such a pleasure, you guys. I'm looking forward to running into you again in a couple of weeks. People who take this in the future, there may not be a chat after, so just keep doing it. But if you take this in the future and we're not doing a chat after, set your calendar for 2 weeks to check and come back and see how it went, okay? Send you guys so much love. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Go ground, eat something, have a good time, and then come back and work on this again later, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.